Look at how pretty it is out here today. Isn't it pretty? I just love watching the water and listening to the birds. I just wanted to share that with you. That's why we like it here. I know it's a little bit far out. We're not really too crazy about that fact, but I just love this part. I love this part. Okay. There we go. Hello. I just wanted to share that with you. I just like to give you a smile. So, I'm out here. I wanted to ask you a question. What is your definition of success? What would your life look like if you had accomplished your idea of success? What does that look like? What does that look like to you? I ask you that because for a lot of people, I think the definition of or how they perceive success changes throughout our lives. And what may have been success, 5 years ago, may not be success today. So, I just wanted you to think about that for a minute. What is success? Hold on one second, gotta readjust. Okay, sorry. When I was growing up, somehow I got the idea in my head that the idea, or what would be a successful family, would be one that consisted of, Dad goes to work full time and Mom stays home with the kids. That was the idea that I grew up with. My mom worked here and there periodically throughout my life, but for the most part she was home with me. When I got to be in my teenage years, then she went to work full time, and that was most likely because by that time I was definitely old enough to take care of myself. I could, I could watch myself. I didn't need a babysitter anymore. I could cook my own food and everything like that. She didn't have to be there to watch me, and I was a pretty good kid. I pat myself on the back for that. But anyway, so I kind of grew up with that idea, that I was going to get married and have children, and my husband would be the breadwinner, and I would be the caregiver. That was my idea of what my successful family or my successful life was going to be, right? And when I first got married, it kind of was what it looked like. We got married, and about 12 months later, we had our first baby. And he worked full time, and I stayed home. And it worked out pretty good because, I loved being home with the baby, and that was what I wanted to do. After a little bit, though, I started to realize that, well, first of all, my marriage was slowly crumbling. It was probably a very terrible decision for me to have married him. That's the lack of better words. He turned out to be not a good match whatsoever. He was very mentally abusive towards me and my children, actually, and not physical abuse. I'm grateful for that. He didn't hit me, but he threatened to hit me a couple times. But thankfully, I kind of stuck to my guns, and I said, hey, if you do that, you'll never see us ever again. And he didn't. But like I said, it was very mentally abusive. But I think that started changing my idea of what success was, because I knew I couldn't rely on somebody else, I had to figure out how I was going to take care of myself. And at the beginning, I kind of tried to make it work, you know. I tried to maybe see if I could uh, work for myself and still be there for my children. So I started doing in-home daycare for people. I had a couple women that were very consistent clients, I guess you would say. And I watched their children pretty regularly. I made a pretty good income with that. I was still married to him, though, so he did still bring in the majority of our income. And I guess that worked out for a while. And to be honest with you, I was kind of biding my time because I really, 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 really did not want to put my children into daycare. And I definitely did not want to put them in the daycare when they couldn't speak. I wanted them to be able to tell me if anyone was mistreating them in any way, shape, or form. And so I took my time. I sort of built up my efforts in leaving, I guess you would say. And so, like I said, for about 3 years, my idea of success was just sort of doing a little bit. You know what I mean? I worked as much as I could, but I still was there with my children. That was always my ultimate thought process. Still is. You know, my children come first. They always have. They always will. That's who I am. I'm a mom first. Everything else is secondary, right? And so I did that for about 3 years, where I was able to kind of work around my children that way. And when my kids got to be about this age where I felt like they could speak up for themselves, that's when I finally filed for divorce. It's also when I finally got the courage to do so. I was very scared of being by myself for the rest of my life. And he had a very good way of letting me know, or letting me feel like I was, useless and stupid and that sort of thing. So that took a little bit for me to figure out that it wasn't me, it was him, and I needed to get out of that. So, long story short, I had to put my children in daycare for about a year while I went and got a full-time job. And that definitely was not my idea of success whatsoever. I did not like that situation at all. I did not like leaving my children behind. I did not like missing out on some of their events. But around that time, or shortly around that time, was when my son entered into kindergarten, and so I missed all that first year of his schooling. And I don't know if any of you have children in kindergarten or are about to or whatever, but I'm sure you might know that is when they do a lot of things with parents. They have picnics, and there's a hawk flying around out here. Don't see that very often. Anyway, so like I said, I had to put them in daycare for about a year, and that was terrible, and it didn't do very well for my finances whatsoever either, because here I was trying to figure out how to make it, and I was living with my mom at the time, and she wasn't making me pay rent or anything, and I still didn't have any money. I was broke all the time. I couldn't even afford to pay my car payment. Eventually I had to actually file for bankruptcy, and order to save my car. And that was probably, I would think, my lowest point in my life, and I would definitely say that was the total opposite of success. Soon after that, thank God, my prayers were answered, and God helped me find a wonderful man. And shortly after we started dating, he told me that he did not want me to work. He wanted me to be home with the kids again, and he knew that's what made me happy. And, so again, my idea of success, where my husband worked and I stayed home with the children, became a reality. And it was wonderful, and I loved it. But shortly after we started our lives together, you start to realize that there's only so far one income family will go. He did make very good money, but even so, even after we paid the house payment and the car payment and all that stuff, we didn't have a whole lot of fun money, and so I set out to find a way that I could contribute and still be a stay-at-home mom. So I got pretty lucky there for a while because I found a couple temporary jobs, I guess you could say, that I could work part-time at home. One of them I worked for a rebate company, and I would go twice a week. I would go pick up my work, and I would bring it home, and I would enter in all the names and addresses and stuff of people that had gotten rebates. And I did that for about a year, and then unfortunately the company decided they didn't want to do the home program anymore, so they stopped, and so I didn't have that job anymore. And but then right after that, I found another job where I was being a part-time transcriber at home, and that worked out fine for a while. And but each time I had this going on, I felt good. This was my idea of what success was. I was still doing what I wanted to do, which was be home with my children, and at the same time I was helping out my family, so that made me feel good that I was helping my husband. I wasn't being a slacker, so like I said, that was my idea of what success was at that time. And then as you go along, you start to realize that, or I started to realize at least, that really wasn't good enough. And I guess especially after you meet people who have what I wanted plus so much more, that I go, hey, I want that too. I want to be able to, work whenever I want to, while I'm feeling like I'm not really working, still be with my family, and still have, like my dream life. Everybody always makes it sound like, well, if you have children, your life goes out the window, right? I mean, it means you can't go and have a social life. You can't go have, a good time, right? And I don't know why that is. I don't know why we've gotten that idea in our heads, but I mean, I'm not planning on going out clubbing and stuff like that while my kids are at home. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, being able to, go to the ball games and, go to the movies and go to Disney World and go on a cruise and all that kinds of family activities with my family, while at the same time having the income that we need in order to have that kind of lifestyle, right? I mean, that's what my idea of success is, because I see other people doing it. I see a lot of other people doing it. There's a lot of people in this business right now that are doing just that. They are working whenever they want to. They're building up this great business. They're building up these awesome incomes, you know, 10, 15, 20, 30, 45,000 incomes a month, monthly incomes, not yearly incomes. And they're able to, you know, spend all this time with their families or their friends or whatever their situation is, and they're able to, you know, live the life that they want to live. They're able to go out and, you know, see the world and live on the beaches of the world or whatever you want to say. And, you know, that is my idea of success now. And that's what I'm aiming for. And I know I found the right place. I am grateful. Thank you, God, for helping me find this place. Because I tell you what, 3 months ago I was, you know, not in a good place whatsoever. And now I am on the up and up, and I just know it. I know it. I'm going to be right there, you know, with those huge checks with the huge dollar amounts on the side, and, you know, that's what I'm looking for. So, if you're ready to go ahead and jump on board with me and you know, get on that roller coaster, whatever, and yeah, shoot for the stars, whatever else you want to say. This is it. Go ahead, click the link below. I'll see you on the other side. Love you. Bye.